विश्रंसितानुरुभये सलिले मुखान् मे आदाय तत्र विजहार हवे. Please repeat. Tatra vichahara vedamargan. Matsya yuganta samaye manalopalabdha. Shoni mayo nikhila jeva hitikaya ketaha. Samchitanurvaye vale mukhan me. Adaya tatra vijahara vedamargan. Yanta samaye manalopalabdha. Mayo nikhila jeva hitikaya ketaha. Salile mukhan me Raya tatra vichahara veda margan Masyo yukanta samaye manano labda Shoni mayo nikhila jiva nikaya ketaha Visamstritanurbaye salile mukhan me Tatra vichahara veda margan Adaya tatra vichahara veda margan Matsya yuganta samaye mananopalabdha Shoni mayo nikhila jiva nikaya ketaha Samsitanurubhaye salile mukhan me Adaya tatra vichahara veda margan. Mataji, please. Manano palabdha Shoni mayo nikhila jiva nikaya ketaha Visramsitanurubhaye salile mukhan me Adaya tatra vijahara veda margan Matsya, incarnation of the fish. Yuga Anta, at the end of the millennium. Samaye, at the time of Manuna, by the future Vaivashvata Manu. Huh? What do you say? It says by, I guess it says, oh, it says a little different. It just says changed books. By the future Vaivashvata Manu, that's what it says here. Upalabdhaham, seen. Shoni Mayaham, up to the earthly planets. Nikhila, all Jiva, living entities. Nikaya Ketaha, shelter form. Visramsitan, emanating from. Uru, great. Bhaye, out of fear. Salile, in the water. Mukhat, from the mouth. Me, my. Adhaya, having taken to. Tatra, there. Vijahara, enjoyed. Ha, certainly. Veda Margan, all the Vedas. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: at the end of the millennium, Satyavrata, the future Vaivashvata Manu, would see that the Lord in the fish incarnation is the shelter of all kinds of living entities, up to those in the earthly planets. Because of my, Brahma's, fear of the vast water at the end of the millennium, the Vedas come out of my mouth, and the Lord enjoys those vast waters and protects the Vedas. Purport. During one day of Brahma, there are 14 Manus, and at the end of each Manu, there is a devastation up to the earthly planets. And the vast water is fearful even to Brahma. So, in the previous life of Vaivasvata Manu, such devastation would be seen by him. There would be many other incidents also, such as killing of the famous Shankasura. This foretelling is by the past experience of Brahmaji, who knew that in that fearful, devastating scene, the Vedas would come out of his mouth, but that the Lord in his fish incarnation would save not only the Vedas, but also all living entities, namely the demigods, animals, men, and great sages. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shrita Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishamamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagan Lalita Shri Vishakan Vatamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vikasa Swaminati Namane Nijaguru Harivanya Krishna Chitto Vichinto Parihita Pitri Gehadyanda Sangsara Kupaha Prabhu Bhajana Sukabdo Madjayan Swam Svavishwo Bhuvijayati Vikaso Bhakti Purvo Yatindraha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminati Namane Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pachati Deshitarine Vagisha Yasya Vadane Lakshmi Yasya Chavakshisi Yasyaste Hridaye Samvit Tamrisimham Aham Bhaje Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasati Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So over here, the description of the appearance of Lord Brahma's prediction of Matsya, the incarnation of Matsya, is described herein. So, Vaivasvata Manu, in his past life, used to be Satyavrata Muni, and in now Vaivasvata Manu is the son of Vivasvan, the son of the sun god. So this is his current position, and Lord Brahma is predicting that this thing will happen. That at the time of the partial annihilation, the water will partially fill up the three worlds, namely Bhu, Bhuvaha, and Swaha. So these are the three planetary systems that the water will inundate. And Lord Brahma predicts that every time this happens, he gets very afraid, and the Vedas fall out of his mouth. And when the Vedas fall out of his mouth, Lord Matsya incarnates, and then he enjoys wonderful pastimes in the ocean water. So it's a very ecstatic thing to see that everything which happens in this world, the Lord likes to have a good time with it. We can even see that Kurma, when Lord Kurma appears, we see that the huge Mandara mountain is placed on his back, and he performs such a big thing where the demons and the demigods have to churn the milk ocean with it. And then the Acharyas write that this churning of the milk, putting the Mandara mountain on the back of Kurma, and the churning of the milk ocean gave him great pleasure because there was an itch on the Lord's back. And then when the Mandara mountain was being churned, that itch gave him some great pleasure, great happiness. So when things like this happen, ultimately they all happen for the pleasure of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Lord enjoys in so many various ways and forms. Raso Vaisaha. From him all rasas come. And in every rasa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has this very unique taste that he actually experiences. And he enjoys it. And by remembrance of the enjoying pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a person can experience great happiness. He can be freed of fear. He can be detached from this world. and he can go back home, back to Godhead. It's a very important thing to understand that. By Prabhupada writes in a purport in the in the 10th canto, actually Prabhupada writes that either it's in the last chapter of the 9th canto or the first chapter of the 10th canto. Prabhupada writes that simply the Bhagavad Gita. Maybe you want to stand up, Jacob. You want to stand up. I saw you knock out. So the Bhagavad Gita is full of jnana. Bhagavad Gita is full of jnana, and this jnana is meant to give us vairagya, and is meant to give us liberation from this material world. That when we hear this knowledge about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, when we hear about the pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, this is supposed to give us knowledge and renunciation. And not just that, it gives us, ultimately what does it give us? It gives us liberation. That's why the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the Bhagavad Gita says, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tattvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mam eti sarjana. That if we understand that the transcendental appearance of the Lord and His activities are also transcendental, if we understand that the appearance and the activities of the Lord are both transcendental, such a person will not experience repeated birth and death again in their life. They will never experience this again. So, it's a very ecstatic thing to meditate upon the ecstatic passions of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Matsya incarnation is described in the 24th chapter of the 8th canto of the Bhagavatam. It's the last chapter of that canto, and that's the only chapter which gives detailed description about the pastimes of Lord Matsya. Then the pastime goes that Satyavrata Muni was a great devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and then he was performing austerities by the river Kritamala. Which part of India is this river, Kritamala, Prabhu? Okay. It is, It's in Kerala. Okay, yeah, maybe Matsya Prabhu did research, so it's probably long time when you got initiated, probably Matsya Prabhu must have done. So Kritamala, in the river Kritamala, Satyavrata Muni was performing austerities, and one of the things he would do is he would offer the water of Kritamala back into her rivers. Like that's what we do when we go to bathe in the Ganga. Wherever we go to bathe, we offer the Ganga back to the Ganga. So he was also performing different austerities where he did that. So when once he had cupped up his hands, and he was pouring the water back, a little fish appeared in that water, and he poured the water back, and the little fish, in a very endearing way, spoke to Satyavrata Muni and told him, sorry, King Satyavrata. I keep saying Satyavrata Muni because of Damodarashtakam, sorry. King, I'm sorry, Satyavrata Muni. They had the same name, so conditioned. King Satyavrata, Raja, he was performing these austerities. So this fish, when it appeared in his hand and he poured the water back, this fish spoke to him in a very endearing way. He told him, my dear king, I've come to take shelter of you in this river. There's so many danger aquatics who will eat me. Could you please keep me in a safe place? So the king, naturally being very compassionate, being a great Kshatriya, giving protection to all the prajas, to all the living entities, and also being the devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, took Lord Matsya and put him in a jug in his personal residence. And then Prabhupada in that purport writes that, this is how the Lord makes people perform Ajnata Sukriti. That unknowingly they perform devotional service. Unknowingly. That they just perform devotional service, and just by this performance of devotional service, then they build up and up and up and more and more and more. And we had experience of this on a few Sankirtan trips before when we were in Asheville. One of our very amazing bhaktas had locked. We had two vehicles, and he had locked one of the vehicle and left the key inside the van. He left the key in the truck, and he locked the vehicle. So at that point of time, we really did not know what to do. So then we went. We're trying to see if we can call up someone. It was going to be so expensive. It was going to take so much time. And then we had this idea that, okay, let's go and see if there's a kit which will help us unlock the vehicle. So we just bought that kit, and I saw this guy walking in, and I said, excuse me, sir, are you a truck driver? And he said, no, I'm not. I told him, we were locked out. We're locked out of the our Ram truck. Do you think you'll be able to unlock it? He said, yeah, let me go get a coffee and come. And then he said, but I don't have a kit. I said, no, we have a kit. We just bought a kit. So then this person, he spent a good amount of time, 20 minutes probably. Huh? So he spent a good amount of time, and he like figured out how to like get enough space, and he somehow managed to unlock the truck. And he unlocked the truck, and he gave it, and we got the keys, and the guy was so happy, and he went away. We gave him a book, and he went away. But he had performed costless devotional service. It was not any Mishra Bhakti. It's not like, okay, I'll give you $10, or I'll give you $20, if you help us, or I will do this for you or that for you. Just, he saw the devotees, he felt like, wow, I need to help these people, and he had performed costless devotional service during the Purushottam Mass. How fortunate is that so? Our Bhakta was so merciful that he blessed that soul like this, This person performed so much he got so much Ajnata Sukriti. Unknowingly he performed so much devotional service. And only Krishna knows, what his next interaction is going to be like, what his next life is going to be like. Future, human birth guaranteed, all his sins gone away guaranteed. But so much devotional service was performed costlessly. So the Supreme Lord is always scheming as to how he can get the living entities to somehow or the other, perform devotional service knowingly or unknowingly. And the devotees of the Supreme Lord are very much into this program also. How can we just scheme things in such a way that knowingly or unknowingly people will perform devotional service? We have to scheme it. And so they may just think they're having a good time when they're doing Harinam. They come outside and they see it chant and dance, and every time someone comes, we make them feel like they're like the movie star, like wow, and we start dancing with them, and they start dancing with us, and they get all like. But the little do they know that by clapping and dancing and doing all these things, they just are being liberated. They're being liberated from this cycle of birth and death. And there's this really amazing video. I just thought of it just now. That of this person, this is just a short video. You can just see the. They like that. On Harinam, this guy just saw the devotees chanting and dancing, and they were just chanting, and he was like chanting, and he was rapping, and he was saying all the like, I do this, I do that, I do, and then like all of a sudden, like Krishna inspired him, like, okay, I bow down, and he bows down to the devotees. Ajnata Sukriti, like you cannot make this up. The Lord inspired, like you were there to witness it, right, Nick? He just did it out of his own accord, like, wow. I bow down. Why would anyone in their right mind do that? Why? Unless the Supreme Lord in their heart inspires them to perform devotions. He bowed down to the devotees during Harinam and Purushottam Adhika Mass. Isn't that amazing? That's the most, like this, Krishna's always scheming, okay, bow down, bro, just bow down for no reason. I don't know why he would do that, but he did it. So the Supreme Lord, Prabhupada said that the Supreme Lord is always scheming. How can I give these people Ajnata Sukriti? Like even that guy who was dancing with you, Hare Chalashta, I feel it, Hare Chalashta, and then apparently after he said that, this guy, he kept walking down saying, Hare Chalashta, Hare Chalashta, and then eventually he got it, Hare Krishna, he got it, So the Supreme Lord, he figures out so many ways, to like just perform this kind of, like activities to give people like this opportunity of just going back home, back to Godhead. This whole material world is designed for this, and we'll get into this later. But continuing the pastime, he picks up this cute little fish, this transcendentally beautiful fish. The Supreme Lord, appears, and he puts it in a jug in his own home. And then that very day, what happens is the fish outgrows the jug, and he tells the Supreme Lord, he tells Satyavrata, King Satyavrata, he tells him that, my dear Lord, I have outgrown this jug. Please, you put me in a place where I can live comfortably. So then he takes him out of that jug, puts him in a pond, and then again he grows. Then he says, okay, then put me in a bigger reservoir. He goes and puts him in a well. Again, immediately he grows. Then he takes him out and again puts him in a lake. Immediately he grows bigger. And then again, he puts him in the ocean, and then Matsya, to perform his transcendental loving exchanges with this devotee, tells, my dear king, you're putting me back in this ocean. There's so many dangerous sharks and Demigods fishes here. They may come and eat me. And then Satyavrata, King Satyavrata thinks, my dear sir, you really bewilder us so much. You must be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Narayana. You know? And then he realizes that, and he starts offering these beautiful prayers to Narayana, to Matsya, to Lord Matsya. And then, Matsya reveals to him, yes, I am the Supreme Lord Narayana. And then in a few days, there's going to be a huge devastation. There's going to be a huge devastation. And then when this devastation is happening, I want you to collect all the important herbs, the animals, the people, and everyone. And I will send you a boat. I will send you a boat. And then I will personally come. And then you can tie this. You can tie the boat to my horn. To my horn. And with the snake Vasuki. Vasuki, right? Vasuki. With the snake Vasuki, you can tie the boat and you can tie it to my horn. And then, we will just, I will enjoy my pastime swimming in these waters. I enjoy my pastime swimming in these waters. And then, and then there'll be no light. There'll be no light. The only light that'll actually be coming is the Sapta Rishis. The Sapta Rishis will descend upon the boat and will be next to Satyavrata Muni. And the effulgence coming out of the Sapta Rishis will be the only light in the entire world at that point of time. In the entire water of devastation, there will be the only light. And a side note, is that the Sapta Rishis, for those who do not know, when you look up at night, you'll see I think in Western astronomy it's called the Big Dipper. It's like 7 stars and they look like a hook. And the first time we saw it was in Prabhupada village, where Shivananda Prabhu got us out and he said, well, that's the Big Dipper. And they're actually the Sapta Rishis. And I never knew that until then, the Sapta Rishis, And Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in one place that very soon the Sapta Rishis' glories will be spread all over the world. Very, very soon it will be spread all over and then they'll be famous all over the world, And now everyone is getting Sapta Rishis. It's so amazing, Someone showed us that after a long, the Sapta Rishis, for some reason we decided, okay, we'll call the stack of books, 7 books Sapta Rishi, And then, then the devotees in New York started distributing the Sapta Rishis. And then everyone all over the world is distributing Sapta Rishis now. It's very amazing. But that prediction was made by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. That very soon the Sapta Rishis will be famous all over the world. So it's very amazing. So the light that comes out of the Sapta Rishis. So then Satyavrata Muni, he is sitting and he is meditating upon the transcendental form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the form of the beautiful fish. And then as Matsya had told him, this entire flood of devastation was happening. He had collected all the herbs. The boat had arrived. Then after some time, Lord Matsya appeared as a beautiful golden fish with a horn. And you know how big he was? 8 million miles. Miles. I specifically looked. Does it say yojanas? But no, Prabhupada writes in the translation, 8 million miles. 8 million miles. Lord Matsya was 8 million miles. Can we imagine how long that is? How big that is? But that's how he was so humongous. So then they go around the entire, he's just having a good time. And then at that point of time, Raja Satyavrata accepts Matsya as his guru. And then, Matsya gives him the most amazing transcendental instructions in order to propound the Vedic knowledge. In another place also it says that Lord Matsya killed the demon Hayagriva. Vishnachitra Prabhu was speaking about that yesterday. Killed the demon Hayagriva and he got the Vedas back. So this is Matsya's program. This is Lord Matsya's program as to how the Vedas can be preserved and how the Vedas can be distributed. We see this also, that in this purport, Brahma is saying that not only he could foretell the appearance of Lord Matsya, he could also see many other incidents, such as the killing of Shankasura. Shankasura was a personal associate of Kuvera, the treasurer of the demigods, and being very opulent, being very wealthy, he was very puffed up, like Kuvaira's two sons, Nalkuvara and Manigriva. They both were very puffed up also because of material opulence, so much so that they didn't care about the presence of Narada Muni. So similarly, also, this Shankasura was very, very proud. He was very beautiful, very rich. He had all these opulences. And he had like this beautiful jewel, conch shell-like jewel on his head. And he was very famous for that. And then during the beautiful autumn nights, or the beautiful moonlit nights, Krishna and Balaram were, it was very beautiful. All this beautiful scents and the flowers and the wind was very soothing and everything. And they thought that let's take advantage of this amazing time. And then both of them, start to, go around with the gopis, and they start to enjoy in their association of the most beautiful women in the entire creation. They start to enjoy their association, and then they start to sing. Krishna and Balaram start to sing together. And the Bhagavatam is described so beautifully that imagine Krishna and Balaram singing together. That is the most amazing thing. And then when they had sung together, they had hit all the musical notes. When they had both, it is inconceivable. How is it that when someone is singing, they hit all the musical notes? But they had sung all these, they had sung and they hit all the musical notes at once. It was so beautiful. It's described in the Srimad Bhagavatam that they had done this. And their singing is so intoxicating that it loosened the gopis' hair and their dress. And they're enjoying the association. And Prabhupada writes, it is generally the mentality of a rich person that he thinks that all beautiful women should be enjoyed by him alone and nobody else. And we see that to be true. We see that to be true. That so many rich people, any beautiful girl that's there, they try to somehow or the other enjoy her somehow or the other. You see all these great billionaires, millionaires walking around with trophy wives or trophy girlfriends. They walk around like that. So that's the mentality. Trophy basically means that she's dumb as a bimbo. Like she has no brain. She's really dumb, but she looks really good. And then you just take her to special events to show everyone that, yeah, look, I got a beautiful girl with me. And then that increases your prestige. Then you enjoy her and you throw her away and you get another few bimbos like that. So, they get trophy wives like that. And they do like this. They think that, oh, wow, all the beautiful women should be enjoyed by me alone. So, Shankasura saw that Krishna and Balaram were enjoying in the beautiful association of the gopis. They were enjoying. And he thought that, no, I should enjoy them. So in front of Krishna and Balaram, he goes and he starts commanding the gopis as though he's their husband and telling them where to go and what to do. And he started forcing them to go in the northern direction. And then Krishna and Balaram, and they start calling out to Krishna and Balaram for help. And they tell them, don't worry, don't worry. And Krishna and Balaram start chasing, they uproot two huge trees and they start chasing Shankasura, and then he realizes they're too powerful and he leaves and he starts running away. So Krishna, tells Lord Balaram, you please, protect the gopis and I'll go and take care of this demon. And Krishna is chasing him and he didn't let him go. He kept chasing him. And then, he, in a very short period of time, caught hold of him and with his fist, punched him and killed him on the spot. He's killed him on the spot. And then he took out that shanka, the shanka on his head, that beautiful jewel, and he went and he gave it to Lord Balaram. There were so many gopis, but he gave it to Lord Balaram. Anyone want to guess why? Right. You just said this in the 10th canto. That's what I was saying. Like, okay, you're on top of your game. Okay. So, that he went and he presented this beautiful jewel to Lord Balaram and not to any of the other gopis. Why? Because there is a possibility that there may be some competition. It is true. There's a competition amongst the gopis as to who will get Krishna's favor the most. So he didn't want them to feel like he's especially favoring one of them and not favoring the other. So, Krishna is a transcendental genius. He knows how to act, where to act, how to just behave in a particular way where he doesn't upset any party, and he pleads his brother Balaram, and the gopis also felt happy to see their transcendental brotherhood. between Krishna and Balaram. It was very ecstatic. And we see this, Krishna does things like this also. Like we can even see when he killed Rukmi. When Balaram killed Rukmi, Rukmi was making a big scene, and this Balaram just, no, was it Rukmi? Yeah, it was Rukmi, right? Yeah, they're playing chess, yeah. And Balaram just whacked him, just one shot, pam, killed the guy on the spot. He was acting up, and he deserved it, He was acting up so much. And then Rukmini was also there, and Balaram was also there. So Rukmini is on one side, and Balaram is on the other side, and Krishna just looked straight. He didn't look left, he didn't look right. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that he didn't look at Rukmini, because if he looked at Rukmini to console her, Balaram would get upset with him, like, how dare you? Like, this guy was doing this to me, and, you can't, why are you favoring them? You should be favoring me. And if he looked at Balaram and smiled, then Rukmini would get upset. He just killed my brother, and you are just, favoring your brother over my brother. So, Krishna stares in the front. And he's, sober. And, he knows he's a very, shocking, a very, very, he knows, he's a very, what in Hindi they say, chalu, he's a very smart person, he's a very, he knows how to behave perfectly well, how to get himself out of situations very well, So Krishna has this thing that he does, where he looks, he looks just like that, and he knows how to behave in a way to not get him in any trouble at all, and then I'm thinking, are there any other pastimes that come to my mind? Anyway, not right now, but, we see this, that, this incident of Shankasura. This guy. Lord Brahma also sees this. Lord Brahma also sees the Supreme Lord. He enjoys these kind of transcendental pastimes where he, performs one activity, but when he performs one activity, so many other things happen, so many other things come about. And there's a name for this in Vishnu Sahasranama, for this particular quality of Krishna. It's slipping my mind, unfortunately. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? Something karta. I'm not able to remember. Anyway, but this is there. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does one thing, and from this one thing, so many other things come about. So this is the transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Transcendental nature of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this foretelling is by the past experience of Brahmaji, who knew that in the fearful, devastating scene, the Vedas would come out of his mouth. But the Lord in his fish incarnation would save not only the Vedas, but also all living entities, namely the demigods, animals, men, and great sages. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always scheming how we can save the men, the plants, the herbs, all living entities. How can we protect the Vedas? This is a program of Matsya, of Lord Matsya. It's a program of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as to how one can protect the living entities, and there's this famous verse in the Bhagavad Gita, everyone knows this, yada yada hi dharmasya, lanir bhavati bharata, abhyutanam adharmasya, tadatmanam sajamyaham. And then there's a very similar verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 9th canto, chapter 24, in the end. Yada yada hi dharmasya shayo vriddhisya papmanaha tadatu bhagavan isha atmanam sujate harihi. There's an ecstatic verse. Whenever the principles of religion deteriorate and the principles of irreligion increase, the Supreme Controller, the personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, appears by his own will. The principles by which an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends upon earth are explained in this verse. The same principles are also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. Now this is very amazing. In the present age, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inaugurate the Hare Krishna movement. At the present time in Kali Yuga, people are extremely sinful and bad. They have no idea of spiritual life and are misusing the benefits of the human form of life, of the human form, to live like cats and dogs. Under these circumstances, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated the Hare Krishna movement, which is not different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one associates with this movement, isn't that amazing? Over here, Under the Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated the Hare Krishna movement, which is not different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In another place, Srila Prabhupada writes that Krishna has incarnated in the form of the Hare Krishna movement. This is the annihilation of the demons. This is it going on right here. If one associates with this movement, he directly associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should take advantage of chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and thus gain relief from all the problems created in this age of Kali. So this is always the Lord's program, that how he can give people his association. He always wants to go ahead and give everyone his association. And somehow the other, the Lord schemes something. The Lord schemes something, and not just the Lord. The devotees of the Lord, the great acharyas, they feel the pain of the Supreme Lord to see how these living entities are suffering. These living entities are suffering so much out there in the material world. There is no happiness in this material world. There is no love in this material world. Love is for Krishna. Happiness comes from serving Krishna. There is nothing else. There is no other thing better to do than to serve Krishna. Because by serving Krishna, all the unwanted things in our hearts will actually be destroyed. We'll actually be happy. And the Lord's appearance in this world, he appears out of his own free will. He does not appear because he is bound by the laws of karma. He does not appear because, oh, well, it says in Shastra this is going to happen. No, he appears out of his own free will to show compassion upon the living entities. That somehow or the other, they need to be saved. The Supreme Lord incarnates like this to give us the highest benefit. There is no higher benefit than being part of the Krishna consciousness movement. There's the highest thing. And this Krishna consciousness movement, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is meant to deliver all the conditioned souls suffering from the pangs of repeated birth and death. The Supreme Personality of Godhead empowered his most dear, one of his most dear devotees, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, to create these brainwashing books. He empowered him to write these books. And these books are meant to deliver all the conditioned souls of this world. All of them. Each and every one of them. They're meant to deliver them. This is a ripened fruit of the desire tree of all Vedic literatures. Lord Chaitanya said, I'm just one person. How many of these fruits of love of God can I distribute by myself? Therefore, I need the help of everyone to distribute the fruits of love of God. And Bhakti Vikas Maharaj, being the transcendental personality, completely absorbed in Srila Prabhupada and his teachings, and always meditating upon the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that this fruit of love of God that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is talking about is the Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Phalam, is the Srimad Bhagavatam itself. So the distribution of the Srimad Bhagavatam is the most important activity for all members of the Krishna consciousness movement. It is a shame if we are taking part in the Krishna consciousness movement and we are not attempting to distribute the Srimad Bhagavatam set. It is a shame. I'm sorry to say, hate me if you want. It doesn't care. I really don't care, to be honest. But it is a shame that if we've been part of the Krishna consciousness movement for so long and we are not distributing Srimad Bhagavatam or assisting devotees in distributing the Srimad Bhagavatam, we are wasting our human form of life. We have to distribute the Nigama Kalpatara. We have to distribute the fruit of love of God to everyone that we meet. It is our prime duty. And anyone, anywhere, at any time is capable of buying the Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone. We see they may be only 18 years old. They may be in really bad association. But if our desire is strong enough, then certainly the Supreme Lord will make them buy a set of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll never forget this. This was in the Atlanta Tattoo Convention. It was honestly one of the best events we worked. Hands down. Wow, that was the nectar. Atlanta Tattoo Convention. All these people with big, big tattoos going around, big beards, and scantily dressed Matajis, but they were all buying. We distributed 13 Srimad Bhagavatam sets in the Atlanta Tattoo Convention. That was the nectar. To Westerners, that's a big thing for us, As of now, that's a big thing. Soon it's going to be only 13 Bhagavatams. That's very sad. Give it a couple of days, okay? All right? Give it a couple of days. That's the attitude, right? The mentality we were talking about, But, this, I'll never forget this. We were in the Atlanta Tattoo Convention. And then there was this really, really sweet mother. She was a very sweet Mataji. And she was like a yoga teacher, and she was into like spirituality and this and that. And then, Abhimanyu Sudha Prabhu caught her, and he was like, not caught her physically, but like, excuse me, miss, or whatever, whatever. And like somehow, brought her towards the got her towards the Srimad Bhagavatam, and he was explaining the Bhagavatam and this and that. And, this was literally like watching a cartoon where there's like one person, and then there's like the angel whispering good things in the ear, and there's a devil whispering bad things in the ear. So while Abhi was trying to distribute this Bhagavatam said to her, constantly her boyfriend next to her was just telling her, don't take this. Do you really want this? Do you really want this? You're never going to read this. You're never going to read this. And Abhi's saying, miss, you really have to read this, miss. This and that and this and that and this and that. And like until the last minute, there was no saying what's going to happen. Then Abhi whipped out his square and was telling her how much it was going to cost. And the girl was taking out her card, and like the boyfriend was like, no, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to do this? And she's like, yeah, I really. And like, don't do it. Oh, should I not do that? Abhi was like, do it, ma'am. Oh, don't do it. Do it, ma'am. Don't do it. Do it. And like, oh, whoa, what's going to happen? And I was like, taking my prasadam, like, oh my God, Krishna, please. And I knew, I tried to help Abhi, like by trying to divert the boyfriend. I'm like, yo, my man, the tattoo is amazing, your glasses are amazing, your beard is amazing, you're amazing, everything is amazing about you, you're the emperor of amazing. I was trying to say this, that, and the other thing, but the guy initially caught hold of me, and like he was more afraid of like his girlfriend becoming a devotee or something, like natural big demon. But then somehow the other like, no, like take my person, like Krishna, please, help my brother out, please. And I was saying, and then somehow she's like, I'm gonna do it. And then while Abhi typed in like the amount, all the boyfriend's friends from the back came and they saw the amount on the phone, and they're like, oh, they're like almost as though like someone like killed their dog or something like that, No, they're like acting as though like someone pulled out their kidney or something, And then when she swiped the Bhagavad and she got it, we were like, oh my God, that was like the best, like wow, shoot. That was such high pressure thing. That was a high tension thing, That was so like, thank God. Thank God, she bought the Bhagavatam, and it was like the moment of great celebration for us, And we were, and usually what happens is that after people buy the Bhagavatam against their own will, like after like 1 hour or something, like the boyfriend like tortures them or something, and like, you know what, like, I just can I get my money back? Like, I felt pressured, blah, 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 blah. Like, yeah. And we were like, they were walking around us, and we were seeing them and pretending, hey, hi, hey, hi. And like, just like continue to distribute books, and like, bro, I really hope she. And like, they all finally walked, and they all looked really grave, and we were thinking, oh man, this is it. This is going to happen. There it is. She's going to ask for her money back. But then she's like, can I have my books? And like, yes, take the books. Haribol, bye. And she took the books and she left, and like, wow, whew. Her boyfriend carried it for her, just see the victory for Srila Prabhupada, that her boyfriend carried the Bhagavatam for her. Like, yeah, bro, carry it, bro. You carry it. You got big biceps, right? Carry it, bro. Carry it. And like, oh, okay, fine. And you carrying it, like, wow. But that was really like, but you never know, if you have the desire, I was like really praying, like, come on. This tomato rice is really good. Come on. Kalki made that ecstatic tomato rice that day. And, I made one guy eat the plate of tomato rice. And then he was so ecstatic that he immediately bought a Bhagavatam. He had his face covered with tattoos, completely covered with tattoos. And he was so excited. He bought a Bhagavatam, and he came back and got another plate for his friend, It was so ecstatic. Wasn't that ecstatic, Prabhu? That was really like the best things ever. And like, it was so amazing to see, like, I think that was like my biggest Bhagavatam day for Westerners until then. I did what, like, on that Saturday I did 7. On that whole weekend I did 12. You did 13. But, like on one day I did like 7 Bhagavatams, I think. 7 or 6 or 7 Bhagavatams. Because I remember, like, there was that, anyway. It was so ecstatic. People were buying Bhagavatams, like 6 Americans giving $300 buying the Bhagavatam. That was the most like ecstatic thing. You really feel like you're part of Lord Chaitanya Sankirtan movement. And everyone should experience this. Everyone should try this. Everyone should try. And just by trying it, the Lord gives so much mercy. It's so ecstatic. It's so ecstatic. And it can happen on the streets of Gallenberg, and people buy, and then who is Scooby-Dooby-Doo bought the Bhagavatam too. It was so amazing. It was so, Scooby-Doo bought it, the guy from Slipknot bought it. So many celebrities bought the Bhagavad. I mean, I remember like growing up, seeing these people on television, and like, wow, like they were like our acharyas, more or less, you know. And then, they bought the Bhagavad. I was thinking, it's so ecstatic, especially like when Corey Taylor, I was like really into that, in that band stuff. But, I was thinking, like, Corey Taylor is liberated. I'm so shocked. It's so crazy. And, Abhi, like, after he distributed books that day, he called up his mom, or the next day, right? He called up his mom and said, Mom, Stuart, the guy in Stuart Little got the Bhagavatam. She's like, what? You used to watch Stuart Little all the time, and now he got the Bhagavatam too. That's so amazing. But, everyone is getting the Bhagavatam. I remember, like, all my friends were obsessed with Twilight, and they say, oh, bro, that's so gay. I'm never going to see that, and blah, blah, blah. And then, the guy got a Bhagavatam too. That's, like, amazing. Just so amazing. All these people, and now we're not like these bogus people. Like, there's one guy who preaches to all the celebrities, and he just talks like so much nonsense to them, just nonsense about, oh yeah, and they have like a cool accent and like, looking like the illest dude on the block. But we just go and give them the Bhagavatam straight up. Surrender to Krishna. Take the Bhagavatam, This is the Bhagavatam. You got to take it. You're an important guy in society, and you need this. And they all feel it. We didn't, like, mince words. Especially with the Stuart Little homie, like, Stuart Little, my man. Yeah, like, initially he came by and we were like, miss, like, we were not miss. So Abhi was talking to him, and like, and there's a Mataji next to me, telling me her whole life story. I said, bro, do you want the books or not? I don't want to hear about your kids. Just, do you want the books or not? Or she's like, my kids did this, and like, look at my granddaughter. Why the hell do I want to see this? But anyway, she was like, the Lord must have some reason. And then the guy walked up, and like, Abhi was just reading books to him, and she's like, do you know who this is? And Abhi was like, no. He's like, he's the one who plays today. Like, wow, that's amazing. And the homie gave $100 right away for the sapta. And then, Abhi was like, okay, man, okay. And then I was like, yo, bro, hey, man, listen, Jonathan, listen, I want you to listen, man. This set right here is meant for leaders. And we started doing like this whole thing. Is like, bro, we have a quota. How many Bhagavatams you want to do? He's like, have you met your quota yet? I was like, no, bro, we just need one more guy, bro. We just need one more guy. He's like, you know what, man, I'll do it. How much more? We said, bro, just give $175 more, And he whipped out $200 bills and boom, gave it to us. And he picked buses, bought the Bhagavatam and left like, oh, man. That was like intoxicating, That was so intoxicating. That was amazing. That was ecstatic, Everyone should do this. Everyone should just distribute Bhagavatam sets. It's the most amazing thing. To just see someone walking away with a Srimad Bhagavatam is like, you can't even put it in words. When you see someone driving away with a Bhagavatam set, it's like the most ecstatic thing that, like Kristen says, man, you got to feel it for yourself. What was he saying in that video? You got to experience. You always like mimic. No, not that guy. You got to feel it for yourself, but you really got to do it. And just by doing this, I mean, like, can you imagine? And like, I have the address of 2 of those celebrities on my phone. They had me ship the books to their home. And one guy said, I have just a perfect bookshelf for this set of books. The Bhagavatam is in their home. This is Matsya's desire. This is Lord Matsya's desire that Matsya Prabhu's desire also, of course. But, I hope so, right, Matsya? It is, right? It is? Very good. It should be. Say yes. But it is the desire of Lord Matsya that these Bhagavatams go out. This is the reason he came, he swam. Why? Because he can see that the Bhagavatams are going to be going out. The Bhagavatams are going to be going out. 50 years ago, when our spiritual uncles were distributing Prabhupada's books in the airports and all these other places, they used to do 20 Mahabooks, 30 Mahabooks, 50 Mahabooks, 100 Mahabooks. And it was a great day, and it was a great day, 100%. But now, as the generation increases, as the parampara increases, the empowerment increases also. So now we should be talking, yeah, Prabhu, I only distributed 20 Bhagavatam sets, I only distributed 30. Oh yeah, I had my biggest day, I distributed 100 Bhagavatam sets. This is how we should be talking. This is how we should be talking. Now the Mahabook should be translated into Bhagavatam says. It is going, don't think it won't happen. It should happen, it must happen, and it will happen. It's up to us if we take credit for it or not. But this is written in stone. Every time, someone is discussing it. Remember the first Bhagavatam I did to Jeff? The guy, he was like this, white guy, old guy from Tennessee. I don't know how to say it right, like the way they say it, but old guy from Tennessee, and he was like from some local place there. And he was walking with his son, and I stopped his son like, "Yo, my man, you look like the guy from Top Gun." That's like my line. You look like the guy from Top Gun, and like he laughed, stopped, and he laughed. And then his father came next to him. I said, "Sir, the guy, he looks just like you, but like he had a gray beard." I said, "He looks just like you, but with like a yellow beard, because he's blonde and you are, old." And he started laughing, and for some reason I started telling him about the Bhagavatam, and he was like, "Man, I'm really into it. I'm like reading about Advaita Vedanta," and I was thinking like, how the hell is a freaking random old guy in the middle of Tennessee somewhere reading about Advaita Vedanta, and he was like speaking all this Mayavad. I said, "Wow. Wow." Every time someone speaks Mayavad, you're like, "Wow, wow, bro, you need to take these books, bro. You need to." And I was like telling him this, and he looked at the books, and he's like, "Wow, it has the original Sanskrit. It has a Sanskrit, and like the transliteration, and like word for word, and like translation power. This is exactly what I'm looking for. It's exactly what I'm looking for. You know what? Let me go talk to my wife." I'm like, "Oh man." Every time that happens, he said, "Don't worry, man. I'm going to tell her this is my birthday and my Christmas present, man. $300, I know it's a lot for us, but this could be my birthday and my Christmas present." I said, "Well, sir, it's the best Christmas and birthday present you could ever buy for yourself. If you can," I told him, "I have faith in you, Jeff. I have faith in you. You can go talk to your wife, and she'll do it, And then, he went and he's talking to his wife, and like, the people walking by, but I'm just like, staring at Jeff like the whole time, like, "Bro, that's him talking." And I'll be like, "Bro, what's happening? Why are you talking to these people?" I said, "Bro, he's talking to his wife, man." He said, "You think he's going to do it?" I said, "Bro," and every time I tell myself, this is the prophecy of Lord Chaitanya. This is the prophecy. It is predicted that this fruit of love of God is going to be distributed to everyone. I said, "Prabhu, this is the prophecy. It is a prophecy that these Westerners are going to buy the Bhagavatam sets. It is a prophecy. We have to do it. I'm sure it's going to happen. I'm sure. We just have to do it. We have to do it. Somehow or the other, we have to do it." And then, something happened. He walked around, and his wife came back with him, and he like, "Mr. Maha, tell my wife about the books." And he told, like, "Babe, see, this is what I've been looking for. It has the original Sanskrit, it has the page." And he sold her the Bhagavatam. He said, "It has this, it has that. Can you show her where the Sanskrit is in the thing?" And like, I always, and this is a trick which always works with Westerners, and I think it'll be good for devotees to also use this, right, Abhi? This works. I'll show this. On the first canto, I practically, like, my finger knows where to find the page. I've opened that page so many times, but it's 1123 in the first canto. It's page number 461 on this. I always show them this Sanskrit pronunciation guide. And I show them the Sanskrit language, and I tell them, just by looking at these books, you can learn the language. And they're like, "Wow, man, this is really awesome. This is really amazing." And, and I've done it so many times that people are so fired up to see it, right? So many of the people, it works, And I just use the same line. I tell them, "Sir, these books are originally written in Sanskrit, now translated and translated to English." And then I show them like the paintings, and I tell them, Prabhupada said these paintings are windows to the spiritual world, and all this and all that. And they're like, "Wow, this is really amazing." And then I do like my whole thing, like, like to be happy and this and that, and like preach a little philosophy to them. I tell them, in the store they sell it for 2,000. You don't have to do 2,000. You can just do 300. If you can't do 300, you can do $100 for 3 months. And so many people agree to do it. It's so amazing, and it works. And she's like, "Babe, see, babe, see these pictures, these pictures, and you see this Sanskrit, and like this is, please, can I get it, please?" And she's like, "Okay, okay, please go ahead and get it." I was like, "Miss, you're the best wife in the whole world. You really are. You let your husband buy the Bhagavatam," and he bought the Bhagavatam. It was so amazing, So amazing to see these people walk around with these Bhagavatam sets. It's really the ecstasy. And this is the program of Lord Matsya. This is the program. This is one of the reasons why he descended. This is to see the future of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. If we want to get the blessings of Lord Matsya, we should distribute these Bhagavatam sets. We should distribute these books of Srila Prabhupada. We should try, at least try. At least one set we should do, at least one. If not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 million. So many sets we should do. I remember in Mitravan Prabhu, in little 5 points, you remember when he distributed that Bhagavatam set? That was so, but when I saw that, I was in so much ecstasy. When Mitravan Prabhu distributed that Bhagavatam set, you were there with him, right? Was he there with you? Were you there with him? I think it was Abhimanyu. Oh, I see. like you're like, bro, this guy, like, he says he's dyslexic, but he can't read the books. But I want to sell him the Bhagavatam, and then how do you sell a Bhagavatam set to a dyslexic guy? Bro, here's like 44 books I want you to take home, bro. 44 books. I know you can't read them. Oh yeah, one of our things is like, man, I have ADHD. Like Abhi was like, I used to have it too, but I read these books and it fixed it. It fixed it for me. So how I don't know how you did it, but I remember seeing $300 on the Cash App, and the homie bought a Bhagavad. I'm like, bro, this guy looks half like not there, man. Like, how did he do it? But he did it. He took the Bhagavatam, kept it in his car, and it's ecstatic. Right, Mithravan, wasn't it ecstatic when he did the Bhagavatam? I remember in Punch. It was so amazing in little 5 punch, So it's there. This opportunity is there, I know some of the Matajis did it. I remember Lake Shravanti Mataji distributed a few Bhagavatam sets. Iman Mataji distributed a few Bhagavatam sets. I'm sure Kamila Mataji, Anaya Mataji, Deja Mataji is all coming up very soon. Very soon. Mahabhoga Mataji, everyone should distribute Bhagavatam sets very soon in the future. We'll do. Actually, you all did distribute some Bhagavatam sets in the Sunday program, right? No? Okay. I know Topaz Mataji distributed some Bhagavatam sets in Sunday programs. So it's really amazing. So somehow or the other, we should come together and distribute this Bhagavatam. It will be very, very amazing. And that way we will please Lord Matsya. So I'll end the class here. If there's any questions or comments, we can take them now. Charan deep.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Prabhu, in the purport, it says at the end of Manu, there was partial annihilation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that at the end of the day of Lord Brahma, there is partial annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm just curious to clarify, is it at the end of every Manu or is it at the end of...
Over here it says, right, at the end of each Manu, there's a Prabhupada clearly writes it. At the end of each Manu, there is a devastation up to the earthly planets. So there may be different partial annihilations also, where some may even go up to Swarga, and only the residents of the Tapalokas and all of them, from there up, the water doesn't come, So this, at the end of each Manu, like I said in the beginning of the class, Bhu, Bhuvaha, and Swaha. These are the three planetary systems which get inundated. And there's, So at the end of each Manu. Yeah, that's what it says. At the end of each Manu, there is devastation after the earthly planets. Yeah, earthly planets is Bhu, Bhuva, and Swaha.
No. Actually, Bhuvaha is...
Oh, it's Swarga. Oh, so Bhu and Bhu. Okay, Bhu and Bhu. Oh, only Bhu. Only Bhu. Okay. Only Bhu.
Intermediate heavenly planets.
Intermediate heavenly planets. And then there's a rest of it.
The end of day of Brahma.
End of the day of Brahma, that happens like that. End of the day of Brahma, it happens Bhu, Bhuva, and Swaha. Yes, Abhi, Manu, Sutta. Prabhu.
There were many instances from our book distribution.
Turn the camera around.
There were many instances in our book distribution where you distributed Bhagavatam set, and it gave me a lot of faith in this Bhagavatam distribution. But especially recently, there was something that gave me 100% full faith that these Bhagavatams are going to go out. And this is when we came from Asheville to Charlotte.
Mm.
And when we went from Asheville to Charlotte, and we were staying at Grahasta's house for overnight, and we had this Bhagavatam class.
Yeah.
And the Bhagavatam, we were having a Bhagavatam class about distributing Bhagavatams. And you were speaking about the glories of Bhagavatam, and...
Tasmat Sankirtanam Vishnu.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's what Sankirtanam Vishnu. And, how this Sankirtan movement is to please Vishnu, and that, these Bhagavatams are already distributed. Just the importance, that it has to happen, and that there's nothing greater in this universe than distributing Bhagavatams. And we were so fired up that class, we were just like, yeah, this is amazing, we're gonna do this, is crazy. And immediately, after the class ended, after talking about glorifying Bhagavatam, then it was like mystical. Immediately after, the doorbell rang. And I remember thinking, I didn't hear a doorbell ring. I heard Bhagavatam.
Yeah. That's a fact.
I heard.
I believe him. Trust me. Hey, he's doing Bhagavatam on the streets. I trust him. Yeah.
Bhagavatam. That's the first thing that came to my mind when the doorbell rang. I was like, somehow those Bhagavatams about to go out right now, And so then we went out, and this Mataji, this Indian Mataji, was a neighbor or whatever, was like, hey, like, I think I might have accidentally scratched your van or whatever. And then we went out and looked out, and, you know, she like bumped in. There was like a tiny scratch. And then basically, whatever was like, you know.
So I said, Matsya, is it really bad? He said, no, no, it's not. And he said, Miss, I said, you know what, Mataji, but you have to buy a bag with him. Said, no. Right?
Yeah, yeah. We were like, yeah, Mati was like, yeah, you can get. So how can I fix my? How can I rectify my? Mati was like, you can get these books, and Mahotsaha was like, yeah, check it out. And so like we opened the van, he like put in his Bhagavatam, and she gives $300 for a Bhagavatam on the spot.
Yeah.
Right after the
class.
class about glorifying Bhagavatam, someone comes to the doorbell and takes a Bhagavatam. Now, if you don't like have faith in it after
Really,
that,
right?
you're atheistic, because that's insane.
Yeah.
That's insane. You can't experience anything like that in the material world.
Yeah.
It's not like you're like talking about like being rich and famous, you know, and then like some like agent comes to your door and like recruits you to be like a Hollywood superstar.
Yeah.
Like that just doesn't happen. But like in Krishna consciousness, if you talk about distributing Bhagavatam, people will literally come and buy Bhagavatam.
Yeah, I remember that. She's like, I was looking for these. You know, remember? She
It
was
was
like,
insane.
I was looking for these.
Yeah, that's the question. Like, she showed Bhagavatam, like, I've been looking for this. I've been looking for this. Like, it was like, yeah, and she bought it instantly.
Yeah.
After like glorifying Bhagavatam. He's like, you can't make that up.
Yeah.
You know? So that moment is when I like really like when I truly like you gave me, you know, you but this moment I 100% full faith in this Bhagavatam.
I think that street is like transcendental, huh?
That street has been blessed.
We sold 2 sets right on the
Right
street.
in front of the Mataji's house.
Yeah, 2 sets.
Without
One
even
to her
looking at the
neighbor,
street.
one to her neighbor, and one to this.
They're both neighbors.
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So yeah, that street got blessed.
Yeah.
But,
Vishnu, Chitta Prabhu.
Yeah, it's really amazing how, you know, we have so many of these kind of mystical experiences, and you know, I often think of it as, you know, Krishna's being Krishna's being really merciful, because he says pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam. You know, this can be seen, it can be perceived, and
it can be tasted, Prabhu.
and it's
It can be
susukam
tasted.
kartumavyayam. It's joyfully performed, so it's really joyful. Whereas, you know, in the karmi world, they wish these things could happen.
Yeah.
That's why they create Disneyland
Yeah.
or Disney World, and then you take all the kids there, and then they're talking
blow your
about Mickey
money.
Mouse, and suddenly
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse walks into the room, and all the kids are going, "Woo!"
Yeah.
You know, all this kind of
Like-
crazy stuff. But everybody knows it's just there's no
It's
Mickey
all
Mouse.
planned.
It's
You
just-
paid for it.
If
If it wasn't for those $1,000, Mickey ain't coming.
Anything for it.
Yeah.
You paid like anything. The parents are actually suffering.
Like hell.
You know, although the kids are thinking it's all magical, but then later, you know, and the same thing, you know, you actually think like, you know, the presents are found under the Christmas tree,
Yeah.
or that these socks magically produce candy or whatever nonsense, you know.
Tooth
It's like-
fairy.
you know, it's like, but they try to create this magical thing, but it's all like, and the feeling when you realize that it was all just staged is
Yeah.
like, it's
It's all an
so, like,
illusion,
it's like,
yeah.
it's like, you know, none of these people are actually real.
Yeah.
I remember after I grew up, and I said, none of this is real.
Yeah, none of it.
them are real.
Literally none of it.
You know, it's like, but that's not true. I mean, Krishna's real, devotees are real. I mean, this is amazing, you know.
Yeah.
The Bhagavatam is real.
It's really amazing.
So nectar, yeah.
It's really nectar. And like, you know, you see it happen in front of your eyes, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
So you were talking about this Ajnata Sukriti, and sometimes, well, I mean, I do it a lot too, but like I've seen a lot of times devotees, they purposefully like leave like a mess or like
Whoa.
like something like that, and then they'll use the excuse like, anyways, whoever has to clean up after us, they get like this like Ajnata Sukriti like type of thing. But like, like how far does that go? 'Cause,
It
like, you can
requires
fuck people up.
intelligence, you know. It's not like you just like drop everything on the floor. All right, bro, it's a big mess. It's against the security, like, you know. But it requires intelligence. You have to see like, okay, if it's like a box or something on the side, you know. But yeah, usually the principle, yeah. The principle is the Brahmana leaves a place cleaner than he found it.
I was in Boy Scouts for like 10, 15 years or something. Not 15 years, a long time. And
10 years.
Yeah. I started at the very beginning and went like
Start from the
way.
bottom.
One of the most important principles that they teach you is leave no trace. It's like a really common like slogan that they like say, and like every time
Shloka.
every time we would like go out, not only can you like you would light a campfire and you have to remove every single like piece of coal and then put like dirt back in it and make it look like there was no fire, and then like not only do you have to leave no trace, but you have to leave it cleaner than like how you found it. And we would do what's called a police line, and we used to do that after the Sunday feast, where everyone would line up and then like literally crawl on the ground and look for tiny little pieces of trash.
Out of the Sunday feast.
Like we would clean
Y'all
the
used to have a
floor, like-
Sunday feast too.
We would clean the floor
Oh
like
wow,
this a few
amazing.
times. And but like anyways, like so like that was like really ingrained in me for like a really long time. And then like sometimes like we would go out and like the devotees would just like go crazy and like leave like trash and like this and that, and like if I would like say something, I'd be like, oh anyways, you know, if somebody picks it up, that's devotional service, you know, like type of thing. But it's like, and like sometimes like I would like do it because they would say that, and like there was something that like I couldn't like really like it didn't feel right. But at the same time, like if somebody's enthusiastic to clean up after the devotees, then like they do get benefit, right?
Yeah, they get benefit, but as a principle, we should not do it.
There's the point that, you know, we're sadhakas siddhas. So, no, not siddhas yet, but so
Wow,
sadhakas,
you are, not us.
sadhana. And part of the sadhana is that one should, you know, one should be clean. And cleanliness doesn't just mean you are clean and then after you everything's a big mess. No, even after, you know, one should be clean. And otherwise, one's devotional service is not, you know, it becomes infected with
Tamogun.
weeds. So this is a very important point to understand. A Brahmana is the place actually cleaner than he found it, at least cleans up after him. So because otherwise you're not a Brahmana, because you can't tolerate tamas.
Mataji, is anything?
So I understand that like the desire has to be there for these Bhagavatams to go out, but like could it also be that, you know, speaking for myself, like maybe just like my preaching is not as potent as y'all's, you know what I'm saying?
No.
No.
You can go, anyone can go. And that's a good Maya excuse that Maya plants in our minds, but that's not true. Anyone can do it. The fact that we think that it is my preaching and this is their preaching, we're being used as instruments of Srila Prabhupada. So yes, Prabhupada can use anyone as an instrument if we're willing to be used. So ultimately it's our hang-ups which stop us from doing it. You know, ultimately, most of the time I've seen that if every time I don't distribute Bhagavatam sets, it's because I'm being mental, that's all. So if we stop being mental and we just do the needful, then it happens.
But I be feeling like when I go out there, I mean not.
I did not understand what you said. What do you say?
Like when I mean like I haven't been out on books in a while, but I feel like when I would go out, I felt like the desire was there. Like I would be out for hours, you know. So it's like, what am I doing wrong?
And you should desire, you know, it's not what you say, it's what you pray. We keep trying. And you know, it's not like, if we did, were you trying to show people the Bhagavatam? Oh, I didn't show them the Bhagavatam, but they still didn't buy it. I wonder why. So we should show the Bhagavatam set. If we show them, then we can buy it. If we don't show, how will they buy? You know, so that's all. Faith needs to be there, that'll go out. And by having that faith, then things happen. Is that okay? Okay. All right, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.